Good morning, everybody. Before we begin, I just want to let everybody know that the Maryland Vision Zero meeting is open to the public and is being recorded. By participating in this virtual meeting, you acknowledge that your participation may also be recorded for several years. We ask all attendees to remain respectful of the presenters and other participants throughout the meeting. Questions and comments will be accepted as time allows. Thank you. Christy, I'll turn it over to you to get us started.
There you go. Well, thank you, Tim, and good morning, everybody. Thank you to all of our participants for being here in person as well as online. We'll start off the meeting by doing introductions. For those for the record, Christy Nizer, MBA Administrator, and Governor Moore's Highway Safety Rep.
Bruce Gartner, Executive Director, right over here, MDTA.
Good morning, Cedric Ward. I'm with the Maryland State Highway Administration, Director of the Office of Traffic and Safety.
Hi, I'm Maroon Zafar. I'm the Senior Safety Officer at State Highway Administration.
Hi, Anna Lewandowski, Director of Strategy at MDA.
Hi, Ted Dubbers, Director, Maryland EMS.
Tim Kearns, Director of the Maryland Highway Safety Office.
Myra Wieman, Deputy Director of Highway Safety Office.
Cindy Birch, Baltimore Metropolitan Council.
Debbie Jennings, Director of Highway Safety Projects, Highway Safety Programs and Special Projects for Chesapeake Region Safety Council. Cynthia Spriggs, the Maryland Highway Safety Office, Pedestrian Bike Speed Aggressive Programs.
Cliff Jacobs, Impaired Driving Program Manager, Maryland Highway Safety Office.
And online we have Candace Bailey.
Hey, Candace Bailey, Safety Data Analyst for MBA.
Shahid Russell. Maggie Mulder. Robin McCullough.
I think you're still rolling.
You guys can unmute and introduce yourselves.
Hi, Robin McCullough, Deputy Director for Media Relations for MVA.
George Chen. Keith Kacharik.
Yep, Keith Kacharik, Manager of Transportation Project Development at BMC.
And Nara Shayaseth.
Hi, I'm Nargis. I'm the summer intern working under supervision of Dr. Zhang team.
And Vic Weisberg.
Good morning, Vic Weisberg, Prince George's County, Department of Public Works and Transportation, Special Assistant to the Director.
Charlene Mingus. And Sean Hume.
Sean Hume, Chief of Staff, Motor Vehicle Administration.
Okay. We are good.
All right. Well, some of you might have heard we had a little announcement with the governor last week that we're really excited about. So I'll do a little intro, and then Anna's got a video that we shared at the recent NASTO conference, which thanks everybody who was involved in that. It was a great success. But Anna came to us a few months ago and said, I've got something that's a little edgy. Not sure if you're comfortable with putting this out there, but we think that it'll grab the right demographics attention, which is really what this is all about. And so I think they made it halfway through the presentation, and I was like, you got me, I'm sold, but we got to sell this up. And so the secretary was willing to buy in, and then ultimately the governor willing to buy in. And I think, as we all know, I'm speaking to the choir here, but the messaging that we traditionally have done is great, and it's still important, and I don't want to diminish that, but there's a certain demographic that it is just not getting through to, right? And it's these individuals who are speeding excessively. We've all seen them on the roadway who are doing multiple dangerous behaviors, whether they're behind the wheel. And this message is really meant to break through that. And the whole idea of not putting, maybe some of you have seen the billboards out. It does not have a government label on it for a reason, right? We want people to be thinking. We want them to be talking. We want them. Joe McAndrew, Assistant Secretary, just walked in. Thanks, Joe. We want them to have the conversation, frankly, that maybe is not being had today, because that's the only way that we're going to be able to change behavior in a meaningful way. And certainly we love the fact that we're making good progress with 2 years of crash reductions and fatality reductions, but you know, it's not enough, and it won't be enough until we hit 0. So, Anna?
I am thankful that Maryland has now experienced 2 consecutive years of declining roadway fatalities. And so far this year, that positive trend continues. Now, I do want to be clear that better numbers are not acceptable numbers. Too many people are still being killed on our roads. Too many families are still living with that loss. Too many of these tragedies involve one common factor: excessive speed. So today, the state of Maryland is launching a new campaign. Slow the fast down. Speeding makes crashes more severe. That's why this campaign is about more than just a slogan. This campaign is about saving lives. It's about getting through to the drivers who still believe that those extra miles an hour won't matter, who still believe that, you know what, I've got to get there faster, so forget everyone else. This is about reminding every Marylander that getting there safely is more important than getting there quickly.
So far this year, there have been 210 incidents of people driving faster than 100 miles per hour in Maryland work zones, and more than 130,000 citations in total for speeding in those zones. That's absurd, and it's dangerous. Drivers need to slow the fast down.
Be safe, drive responsibly, and slow the fast down.
Very good. Team did a great job with that. We do have bumper stickers here, so they're magnets, actually, not stickers, that you can put on your car. If it's metal, everybody feel free to take one when you leave. There are graphics that are available. One of the nice things about NASTO is that I know I was approaching, I don't know, Anna, after I left, if additional ones, but like Utah, Delaware's in, so it'd be great if we could get some like regional support for this messaging, and people are riding, you know, through the Northeast and can kind of see the consistent approach. So I just want to thank the team for the creativity, and you know, this is what we all need to continue to do, bring new ideas to the table so that we can continue to make good progress. So thanks, everybody. Happy to answer any questions.
Will that video be posted on YouTube or online?
Get it up there.
No, I didn't know if that was in the plan.
Yeah, no, we'll get it up there. And thanks to Adam Shin from SHA for helping us out with that.
Any questions? If you're online, you can unmute and.
And maybe I should say, like, look, we knew this was going to be a little edgy, and we knew that there would be some negative pushback, and we've seen some of that online, but I think the messaging that we have communicated back is that what's happening today is unacceptable. It is not acceptable to lose our colleagues on the roadway, frankly, in work zones, law enforcement being struck in out there helping us and keeping the roads safe, our emergency responders in the same situation. So the reality is we have to talk a little bit bluntly about what's going on at this point. So we recognize that, you know, it may not be for everybody, but it's intended for a certain demographic that we feel like this will appeal to, or at least get through to.
And so just to give everybody a quick update of where we are as of this morning, Maryland's recorded 209 traffic fatalities and 194 fatal crashes. That's compared with 247 fatalities at the same point in 2025. So we are about 15%, still below last year. So we're still continuing the trend. We've only had 1 month in 2026 that was higher than last year, and that was March. On a trend to be below. There were 55 fatalities in July last year, and we are not the half of that in July this year. So far, so good. 38 fatalities have, sorry about that. 44 pedestrians are included in those numbers. That's just over 20% of all traffic fatalities. So we continue to focus on pedestrians as one of our primary emphasis areas, and we will hear more about some pedestrian crashes as we discuss today's events.
It does seem like recently there have been several multiple fatality crashes, multiple people killed in crashes, so that's concerning, obviously. And, you know, in some cases, I think one was like 5 vehicles, another is significant. So just something to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's anything we can do about it, but just thinking about, you know, how and why those things are happening.
You want to answer was there a press release for this?
No, it was something else.
Oh, maybe
It's my personal.
Oh, that's your other one.
In terms of press releases, we are doing the 100 Deadliest Days of Summer. So every week we're sending out press releases on the number of people killed on the roadways to try to keep it front and center with everybody, knowing this is such a dangerous time of year. We've gotten at least one media every week picking up on it. So I think it's been effective in that it is, you know, good information to get out there in front of everybody. So if you guys can do whatever you can to kind of amplify that messaging, I think that would be great to help get the word out and keep people focused.
WMAR posted this morning too, and when they were reporting on that 3 fatalities, they framed it as another 3 people have died. And I think it's starting to work where they're changing their mindset of like how this is ridiculous and not just like, oh, we're just reporting on more news. It's like they're really coming into terms with like how many people are dying each week. So that's what we're going to do for the rest of the summer.
And there's a nice editorial in the Baltimore Sun that picked up on the announcement about that now. So good to amplify.
Do we ever use those signs, the changeable signs?
The billboard ones that change?
Yeah.
I think they're on the 895.
There's billboards up. The variable message signs, we're working on it.
Yeah, those have FHWA limitations, but you know, other states have been able to break through, and I think it's ultimately for our friends at the FHWA division office to support our endeavors in that space.
Vic, you have a question?
Yeah, just curious, the 209 fatals that you mentioned, and somebody mentioned, you know, the 3 additional. So there was 3 on 301 and the 3 on 650. Are those included in the 209?
The 3 from the weekend are, yes, anything that occurred before Tuesday night would be included in the 209.
I think the New Hampshire Avenue one was Tuesday night. Yeah.
I'd have to check. It depends on whether or not they completed an initial crash report.
Yeah. I'm just curious.
Sure. Any other questions? Before we move along, just about 2 years ago at the summit, we unveiled the fatality dashboard that kind of brought everybody in line so that anybody that was interested could go see where the fatal crashes happened, kind of see a breakdown by emphasis area of the number of fatalities that we've had over the course of the last several years, and kind of shows where it was in conjunction comparing this year to last year. There's always been a request for us to go beyond that and to actually have the crash data online and to have a dashboard available. So we are going to preview the draft of a dashboard that will go online in October of this year. But Candace, I'm going to turn it over to you, and we'll kind of show what's coming our way. It's designed to help our partners. We used to have benchmark reports that we posted online that were paper and kind of provided all those numbers that way, but we're coming into the 21st century. So we can provide these numbers electronically and let folks do a little bit of their own filtering by different categories that are on there. So we'll show a demo of what we have on tap.
Thanks, Tim. So I'll go through a brief demo of the dashboard. As Tim mentioned, this will be replacing our static benchmark reports, and we have it broken down in a similar way where we have different worksheets on the dashboard for different areas like crashes by jurisdiction, month, day and time, route, and then injuries by vehicle occupant or non-motorist. So the starting point of the dashboard as of right now will be this introductory page where we have a brief summary that mentions that this dashboard will only be showing closed reports in acres. So as Tim mentioned a little bit ago, there are over 200 fatalities this year. As far as the closed reports as of last night, they're at 187. So there will be a slight difference between the numbers on this dashboard and the fatal crash dashboard, but we're going from the same data source. So we're in a good space. So starting off here, we have the summary that tells you how many sheets there are, and then a brief table where you can filter by jurisdiction or year to go over these few things like total crashes, fatalities, injuries, and things of that nature. And then we have, after that, our executive summary, which will give you an overview of the total crashes by severity for the previous 5, 3, or 10 years at the bottom here. And then these cards at the top are current year numbers with comparison percentages to the previous year. And these will update automatically. And we've included some filters based on the emphasis areas that we look at in the Highway Safety Office, where you can click one of the buttons and it should update everything on the screen. It will process faster, hopefully, in the future. But this way you can look at speed-related crashes from the last few years, and then you look at the fatalities and serious injuries for current year. And then with each page, we have a reset button, so it should be easy to just go back to the default. So I'll just go through. We have summary, crashes by jurisdiction, where we go over the counts. Then we have the average and the percentage for the state based on whichever layer you're looking at. So this is the 5-year view. I'll show the 3-year, which should update everything on the page. Where you have your counts updated, your summaries are also updated. And then this chart on the side here gives you a quick view of the year-over-year change. So it's default to current year. If you hover, you can see the number of crashes within that county, the percentage difference, and then the total from the previous year. And as we move on, crashes by month. Similar thing, table at the bottom, you can filter through. These are color-coded from lowest is the lightest color, highest the darker color. And this is a similar year-over-year comparison of crashes by month. I'll show you 2024, where crashes went up just about every month except for, no, every month it looked like for 2024 compared to 2023. And then within these, it also shows you the percentage of change and then the count for the previous year and current year. And we're going into the day and time. All of the things you can also adjust as you're in there. Look at multiple years. Just scroll through, have your averages for quick summaries. And each page is connected, so the change you make to the years you're viewing on this one will go across to the next page, like the crashes by route type. And the route type information we have from a data set that was provided by the SHA. So that's where the route categories come from. It's connected directly to the crash data in acres. And you just look at it by year, all the filters there. And then once you get into the occupants, you are able to see the actual count of people. So we have general fatalities for drivers in red, passengers in yellow, serious injuries for drivers in red, passengers in yellow, the restraint use percentage, and then we have the injuries that you can filter over here, where these will update the charts below. So you can look at things by age. And then similarly with the non-motorists, We have things broken down so you can look at the non-motorist types. We've broken out scooters because we have the latest work that's been done on micromobility. So that's a big thing with people using those more. We have everything by age, the location of the non-motorist at the time of the crash, and their action prior to the crash as reported via acres. And within these, you can also filter by injury, and that should update all of these charts on this page. And yeah, that's the basics for what we're working on with the dashboard. We're still going over some troubleshooting with the summaries by emphasis area, but we should have that worked out so everything can go live in October.
Can you click on the work zone drop down?
Work zone. Yep.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So yeah, this has been a work in progress. It's been a long time coming, but we want to let everybody know one of the things that kind of held us up was we wanted to make sure we had a common platform that we were drawing the data from. All the data is coming from, as Candace said, the closed reports in the state police data warehouse. It's the same data that state police put up online on their webpage. So if somebody were to go there and download information, we would have the same, you'd get the same information that you'll get from the webpage. So that was one of our goals, to make sure that we were consistent with the numbers that were out there. Like I said, this will be available online. They'll be able to get to it from the Vision Zero MD homepage, where the fatality dashboard is. It's a tool that can be used by our partners when they're putting in grant applications for the Highway Safety Office. And it's a tool that we can direct other folks to that are looking for numbers for motor vehicle crashes and fatalities across the state. We think it'll be used a lot, and we're looking forward to seeing how we can modify it going forward.
Yeah, this is really just a foundation. So obviously, as you start getting in there and looking at it, and your team start playing with it, as there's more requests, please let us know. We do see this as continuing to grow, and we want to make sure it does fit the needs of the larger community. So to Tim's point, please, I'm sure there's a feedback mechanism that's right there on the portal, right, that they can see it. So we'll keep everybody posted as this moves forward. But if you have any feedback or thoughts now, certainly happy to take that as well.
Great.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Finally. Good progress. The team's been working, not that they haven't, but it's just to see the outcome. Like,
Vic?
Hey, I'm sorry to chime in so much. This is great. And will there be an opportunity, before it goes live, to present this to, stakeholders beyond, the sort of the county stakeholders and people, maybe beyond those on this call?
Yeah, we would be able to demonstrate it a little bit beforehand. That's why we wanted to kind of preview it now. And then we've got 3 months we can talk about it before we actually put it up on our website and have it go live. And the plan is for it to go live at the next Vision Zero meeting in October. So if anybody would like to see where we are and see what it can do, yeah, just let us know and we can come make a presentation.
Great, thanks.
Any other questions? If not, we will move on to the main event. And the review of the infrastructure.
Right.
Fatalities.
Again, my name's Cedric Ward from State Highway Administration. I'll be leading the discussion on the fatality infrastructure reviews. So today we have 12 crashes that we will review. So high level, this cycle, all 12 crashes were pedestrian. Primarily, they were in the moderate to high, I'm going to say higher speed zones, what we call context zone B and context zone E. The time of day, similar to previous meetings, a lot of them occur during either night or dark conditions. And most of the crashes are away from intersections. So the first crash we'll review is a crash that occurred on Central Avenue, Maryland 214 in Prince George's County. This was just west of the Capitol Beltway. You can actually see the entrance ramp for southbound to the right of the screen there. This crash happened about this time last year at night, close to 10 p.m. So a vehicle was going eastbound on Maryland 214. The data that we were able to obtain from police kind of limited because the pedestrian was struck first by vehicle one. At that point, the pedestrian was in the roadway where it was struck by a second vehicle. Unfortunately, both vehicles left the scene. So the information that we were able to obtain is quite limited for this particular crash. The team did go out and do the full infrastructure review. We didn't find any particular elements that contributed. What we did notice just east of here, there was some maintenance for lighting that needed to be done. So we did contact Pepco to make those necessary repairs. Overall in the corridor, this is not far from the stadium. I forget what the stadium's called now. They've changed the name.
Northwest.
Yes. So this corridor in particular, just to the west of there's a signalized crosswalk about 400 feet west of this section. But to the east, you have the Capitol Beltway interchange, and you can see here, this is kind of where the sidewalk connectivity ends as you kind of go through that interchange. But to the west, we do have the connections. And we have the crosswalk on the south leg of the intersection.
And so the sidewalk ends appropriately, is what you're saying, because of the interstate ramp, or is there a need to look at crosswalk availability because of the nature of what goes on?
Yeah, so it is the configuration of the interchange is a little challenging. So right now there is no sidewalk connectivity through the interchange. That's something we can look at in the future. But what I guess right now west of here, I guess from this intersection west, there is sidewalk connectivity. But definitely if you are coming from east of this interchange, it's going to be difficult to get through. Any other questions on this one?
Not knowing the territory terribly well, but in this corridor, got a PSAP project, right?
214, the route we have?
We do, but it's not within, this location is not within the limits of the PSAP.
Right.
Right, I think it drops off about 2 or 3 blocks short of where this is.
Can happen.
Can I ask a question? So was the pedestrian like in the roadway, or?
According to the limited information, it says they were in the roadway. It doesn't even mention what direction the pedestrian was crossing. So it's unfortunately the very limited information. And then the 2 vehicles who hit the pedestrian left the scene.
And I guess you don't really know, since the pedestrian was struck a second time, where they were originally when the first car strike even happened.
Yeah.
How far away is it from the PSAP?
I think less than a mile, but about 3/4 of a mile.
Have there been other fatal crashes? I mean, obviously the PSAP, but in this area, have there been other pedestrian
So
crashes?
let me pull that up.
I'm just wondering what the process would be, since you're going to be right there, to look a little further. If we're seeing that this is a challenging area and kind of you get stuck not being able to get safely across. but recognizing it's an interchange, it's not probably as simple as just putting in sidewalks. It's challenging from a construction standpoint.
Oh, sorry, Cedric.
No, go ahead.
So the piece, there was a monthly meeting yesterday, so the piece happens at Bright Seat Road. But they are right at PI, so this is still, in a place where there could be some changes, I believe.
Not feeling like you have to respond to that today, maybe that's one you can take back, and at the
Yes.
next meeting, we can have some additional, it just seems like there's an opportunity there, right, being so close, and if there is enough, the county seems interested, so maybe there's something we can do, to work even more fulfilled there.
Makes sense. Yeah, we can definitely bring that back for next meeting.
That'd be great.
Okay. So the next crash also was in Prince George's County. This was on Maryland 5. This is in a controlled access, full access control, meaning this is an area where pedestrians are prohibited. In fact, you can just on the bottom, you probably can't make it out, but on the bottom of the picture, there's actually a pedestrian bridge that allows you to cross to get to that larger development. That was all part of the SHA project about 10 years ago when this section of road was reconstructed. This crash happened at 3:30 in the morning. And again, very, very little information on where the pedestrian was coming from or going to. So the team did review. We didn't find any conditions or elements from the road. But we did identify, again, there was some street lighting that's maintained by the utility company that was identified, and we've reported that to Petco for repair. And then additionally, as you can see, some of the crosswalk marking, the stop lines, and some things there. So there were some recommendations to just go out and do a good refresh on the pavement markings.
Is the bridge lit, the pedestrian bridge lit? If I'm a pedestrian and I'm looking for a place to cross the street, is it obvious that that's like a lit up place?
That's a good question. I had to get back to you on that. I should remember. I was on the project team.
Only a year ago. Can't believe you don't.
Vic or Kate, do you know if this bridge has lighting, the pedestrian bridge?
I don't know offhand, but that is worth checking out. Isn't the Ped Bridge at the next intersection? Is it here?
It's like 400 feet away from the crash.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it has lighting. I'm not sure.
And did you say, is this signalized or not? I forget.
So it happened in between the signal and the crash happened in between where the signal is and the pedestrian bridge.
Oh, I see. I see.
Okay, we can follow up with that. All right, the next crash happened on Maryland 450. This was also in Prince George's County. This was in context zone 2, so a much more built up area. This crash happened during the day. Actually, a pedestrian was crossing a bike. This was right at, it was still daylight, but kind of transitioning to that dark condition. But just in between the Riverdale Road and 85th Avenue intersection, pedestrian was trying to cross the road with a bike where they were struck.
Isn't there a VRU project at that intersection? I
Yes,
see
so
what,
this is part of a VRU, and so that will include a number of features, sidewalks, curb and gutter, updating of traffic signals. So yes, this is part of the VRU project that's being developed.
okay. But the pedestrian was crossing, I guess about 50 feet to the, I don't know if that would be west or south of where the intersection is.
So it was in between.
Right. Right.
Yeah, so the way according from the coordinates from the police report, it was in between just prior to the 85th Avenue intersection.
There's a median in the middle there too.
Yep.
Yeah, they were crossing at the, basically the entrance to the shopping center to the south. Yeah.
Okay.
You wanna?
Yes, we've got, we'll entertain a motion to accept the first three cases with updates coming for the next review.
So moved.
Have a motion?
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? So moved.
Right, thank you. Okay, so the next crash actually happened in a totally different part of the state. So this is down on the eastern shore, just west of Snow Hill on Maryland 12, which is Snow Hill Road. This crash happened at 4 a.m. in the morning. It's a very rural area. Not clear where the pedestrian, what generators would. So the vehicle was traveling, they call it north, I call it west, but northwest on Maryland 12. And according to the police report, a pedestrian was standing on the center line, and as the vehicle approached, proceeded into the path. So that's where unfortunately, that's where the collision occurred. As a result, this is a very rural area. We typically don't light continuous in this area. However, there is an intersection, so the team will be reviewing to see if we can add some intersection lighting for this location. Additionally, they noticed some worn pavement markings and raised pavement markers, so there's a resurfacing project that will address those items.
And we don't have any idea what this is in that rural area. No vehicle or anything like broken down.
I'm just wondering why they stepped.
It didn't make a mention of that part, yeah.
They probably would have, they thought, so, yeah.
All right, so the next crash occurred in Montgomery County. This too was in a more built-up context zone C. This crash occurred just north of the intersection of Indianola Drive. This was also a crash that happened in the overnight hours, almost one in the morning. The pedestrian was trying to cross diagonally when a northbound vehicle came in contact. So the team went out, did the infrastructure review, and identified this area also needs some maintenance updates as far as pavement markings and just some pothole repair. So there is a project to address that. Additionally, let me step back to the map. You notice right now on 355, there's only a crossing on the north leg. The team is looking at the feasibility of installing a crosswalk on the south leg of this intersection to make that just provide more access. Any questions on this one? Okay, next crash happened in Frederick County. This is in a suburban area. This did actually occur within the intersection of Maryland 26 and Ormond's Mill Road. This also is at night around 9:30. There was a eastbound vehicle that came in contact with the pedestrian. So according to the crash report really didn't indicate whether the vehicle failed to stop on red or if there was any kind of let me just put it that way. The crash report didn't indicate whether there were any kind of violation to traffic laws by the parties involved in the crash. So when we went out to look at it, we're going to update the crosswalks. So just to step back here, these crosswalks are not our standard now. They're not high visibility. And in fact, the one on the westbound or west leg of the intersection is pretty narrow. It's only 6 feet wide. And that's significantly smaller than our standard application. So those are some improvements that we're going to make at this intersection.
So just to be clear, the incident happened on the east side where there was no crosswalk, or there was a crosswalk?
It's unclear as to exactly where the crash happened. It's in the they say it's in the intersection.
Okay, that's why it's pretty okay.
Yeah.
Central up there. Gotcha.
But the markings, so there's a crosswalk on the west side right now, but it's very narrow. So we're going to go through, update the crosswalk, make them high vis. Next crash happened in District 1 on the Salisbury bypass. This happened also at night, and that just in dark conditions around 9 o'clock. This is a very rural area. No indication of where the pedestrian was coming or going from. This is a controlled access roadway. So generally speaking, if you see pedestrian, it might indicate that they've had some issue with a vehicle or something like that. We didn't really, when we did the investigation, we didn't really find anything out of order. The lights were for the closest interchange was were operational, and the pavement markings. So not a lot of information to go off as to why maybe the pedestrian was entered the highway from the interchange, but it's with the limited information we can't really say. The next crash happened on Maryland 115 in Montgomery County. This too is a suburban area. A pedestrian was in a trail that's adjacent to the road, and motors heading northbound or westbound, northwest. The motorist admitted that they fell asleep, left the roadway, and unfortunately, that's where contact was made. So I know the district has done a lot here, including revising the posted speed limit. They're also looking to add some additional traffic barrier at some locations to address some hazards with the within the right of way, so that those hazards, there's some protection for hazards. And then there's some other minor upgrades as far as, adding some stop signs, and some minor pavement around the school zone. But work here is still ongoing. I know the speed limit, that work should be, that adjustment should be made later this summer.
No, we can't prevent people from falling asleep, but is there any like rumble strip kind that can be put on the side of the, I don't know if it's appropriate based on the road.
So this is one, there's a new technology, well, it's not really new anymore, called the sinusoidal rumble strip, so it doesn't have as much noise, although it still provides a vibration in the steering and then inside the vehicle. Something we can investigate, but given the number and the density of the residential area, it might be still a challenge.
Yeah.
I just can't stop people from sleeping, but is there any acknowledgement of the case that probably ensued after the fatality happened, or was it just? Yeah.
I'm sorry, you said.
Are you aware of what ultimately happened in the judicial system?
Oh.
The individual fell asleep.
No, I'm not.
We can look it up though and bring it back next meeting. I mean, I do think it's relevant, and I know it's been brought up in some of the recent cases, especially the one in Hartford County where they just had the conviction of the individual who was clearly doing multiple things with their phone before they killed the young man, driving home from practice. You know, the local prosecutor was talking about for when people clearly admit guilt, like in this circumstance, right? There's no doubt that falling asleep contributed to this person being.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if they run shift work, since it's 11:30 in the morning. I know that you guys do a lot of outreach to employers and things that have stuff like that about, when you get off shift or be aware of that, but maybe it turns out to be something like that. I'm thinking 11:30 is, I'm assuming the time without the fall asleep. Right.
Yeah, it's just weird. Or maybe there was drug use or some other contributing factor. It's just, maybe we could look into the Candace if you could. You don't want and can hear me, if you could look at the phone, that'd be great.
Yeah, she's.
What's that?
We can reach out to law enforcement for something that.
Yeah, we
Might
can
not
get
be
a press
the report.
report. Yeah, we'll see if it's in there. If not, we can do that definitely.
Before you go to the next one, we'll take a motion to accept the previous several cases with, again, information to come back at the next meeting. And a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Thank you, Sid.
All right. So the next crash occurred in Charles County on Maryland 210. This was at 12:30 a.m. This area, there's residents that front Maryland 210 with driveways. So it's not really clear from the information we have where the pedestrian was going or coming from, but there are a lot of residences in the area. So this crash occurred about a half mile away from a signalized intersection that's just off the screen. There's no sidewalks or anything in this area. It's a pretty high speed area on Maryland 210 in Charles County. There is a 9-foot shoulder on both directions. And based on the review, we're going to look into adding some more lighting for some of the more prevalent intersections, driveways.
Mm-hmm.
So the next crash also occurred in Charles County. This was on Maryland 5 This too happened just after midnight. So this is an area where there's a Maryland T intersection. There is transit in the general vicinity of this crash location. It's unclear though whether transit was operating at that time of night. So the vehicle that was traveling south towards the Mirkwood Lane and a pedestrian entered the roadway from the median. So they were crossing the road. So that's where transit could come into play, but not sure if transit was operating at that time.
There's nothing on the right side of that road.
I was wondering, where were they?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe there's a house.
Did you say, Cedric, that was at 12:17 a.m.?
AM, yes.
Yeah, then I would guess that transit was not operating then. But that's Charles. I don't know. I don't know their schedules, but I don't think they operate that late.
It's probably a pretty good.
There's sidewalks on both sides of the road. And there's a community up to the north. Yeah, that's an odd time.
That's a tough one.
So there were some things during the field review. And those two intersections, both at Council Oaks Drive and Mirkwood, missing the stop lines, and we're missing some signing so that people won't turn the wrong direction. So those things will be addressed by our district shops.
I'm sorry, when you described the Indian Head Highway, and did you say the pedestrian was in the roadway on that one too? There's one before this one. I'm sorry.
Yes.
For any of these crashes, is it ever documented that they're homeless?
No.
Especially the nighttime walking on the road.
We don't, unfortunately, we haven't been able to get that information.
I know in some of the crashes we've talked about when there's homeless encampments that we're aware of close by, but yeah, I'm not sure in this community if we're aware of anything.
Like something Tim said once before, it stuck with me, that most pedestrians that are struck are hit by cars that don't expect a pedestrian to be where they are.
Yeah.
That seems to be a theme with what I was describing too. Is that still your sense?
Yes. So I think yes, this is the two more crashes. This is the final one in Charles County. So this particular stretch of US 301 has been the subject of at least the last 2 or 3 years on the CTP tour. Waldorf is exploding, and with so much development, there's really not a lot of pedestrian opportunities for pedestrians to cross the road. So at Smallwood Drive, we are actually projects in construction now to provide a crossing for this intersection. This particular crash, you can see it kind of the top of the screen. That's a MTA park and ride facility. And on the east side, there's an Exxon. So a vehicle was heading north and struck the pedestrian just north of the intersection. This occurred during daylight. So there's transit that operates out of the park and ride. So this is a situation where we believe that adding some crossings at the intersection could help out, especially if anyone, for whatever reason, got off the transit bus and then wanted to cross the road So we have a project, like I said, in construction, to add a crosswalk on the north leg of that intersection, with the APS and CPS countdown. And then there's also a PSAT project that is just not quite in, this intersection is not quite in those limits, but we already have a separate project that will address, hopefully address some of the concerns raised here.
Cedric, so it looks like it's just the north of the slip lane, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like, I imagine you guys would like to keep said slip lane there for traffic flow purposes, but if there are means with which you can slow, I'm just looking, there's a pedestrian access there too, but like a signal that you can slow those cars coming through that, not knowing if ultimately it was somebody that was coming through with low visibility at high speeds, limiting the ability for the pedestrian as well. So just, again, you know, either a raised kind of access point where that pedestrian walkway is on that slip lane, or some type of signal, you know, minimum sign, say, slow that pass down. There's a
Billboard opportunity.
bus stop ahead of you. Please be considerate. Now, I'm sorry, but you know, slip lanes are always an opportunity for folks just to keep on moving.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in a mixing zone such as this, where you got a lot of in and out, and folks getting on to 301, where you're gonna rapidly accelerate pace, you know.
Yep.
Trouble.
Okay, yep, we can definitely look at some countermeasures there.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the final crash. This is in Prince George's County, Oxon Hill Road and Livingston Road. This happened in the intersection. Pedestrian was on foot. Unfortunately, this is another case where the striking vehicle fled the scene. We did identify just east of the intersection some opportunities to update or have Pepco address some leaf lighting. But yeah, unfortunately, with the limited information with the vehicle fleeing.
Did they find the
I think they
vehicle?
were able to find the vehicle, identify the driver later after the fact. This 414 is also, we have PSAT in this corridor. So 414 is a big focus area.
The PSAP's in that area? Does it cover that intersection? I think it does, but I forget.
Livingston, actually.
And by the
right.
As if it's not, if you can perhaps extend it, or I don't know what the timing is on that PSAP.
Yeah, we can take that as action.
Good, thanks. And the push bin makes it look like they're right in the middle of the intersection. They weren't in one of the crosswalks, or is there just not enough information?
No, they were actually in the crosswalk according to the police.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, the PSAP is way out, not the PSAP there. That's different.
Okay, so Vic, this is outside the limit, quite looks like about a mile. Maybe
it's a mile from it. Because that section is also, the numbers are high there as well. So.
Yep.
Anything you can do.
Yeah, so this 414 several sections, as you mentioned, are in the VRU assessment. And so this is, even if it's outside the PSAP limit that's been scoped right now, there will be opportunities to bring potential automated enforcement, some other things to help with that situation.
Would a VRU be possible there?
I'm sorry?
Would a VRU, would that be a good candidate for a VRU project?
Potentially. I know there are, I don't recall the complete list of VRU projects. We can follow up with those. But even outside of the capital projects, I think there's some things we can do from an operational standpoint with the, recent legislation that was granted.
Okay. That would be great. I mean, anything that you can do to improve the safety at that intersection, especially the individual was in the crosswalk. If there's a lighting issue, I see this was at, what was it, at like 9:52, so just before 10 o'clock at night, which, you have a lot of people still out and about then, so.
Yep.
To that point, maybe at a future meeting, you guys could talk about what you're going to do in terms of looking at those opportunities for that additional authority for speed.
Yeah.
Enforcement.
All right, thank you, Cedric.
So we need a motion on that one.
So moved.
The last three.
Yeah, we'll entertain one more motion for the last set of cases. So
Got a
move.
motion.
Second.
Second.
All approved?
Aye.
In favor? All opposed? So passed. Thank you all. Anybody have any, that does end our official agenda, so if there's any comments from the folks online?
No, I mean, only, thank you for including us in this meeting. It was very helpful. Obviously, we are extremely concerned, and there was even a press conference at the county executive held yesterday on the two batches of fatalities that took place just in the last 4 or 5 days. The one that was, and then these were not pedestrian, they were, I guess, road and motorcycle related, but we just are super concerned and want to just shoot a flare, since too bad, the one fatal on 650 with the 3 individuals passing away. I think there was one was on a motorcycle. At 301, I think 2 were on a motorcycle. But just really want to encourage thorough investigation, but also and I know the New Hampshire one, I believe, is Metzer, is the intersection with Metzerat. Yeah, I think that's in the New Hampshire Avenue PSAP. But anything that you can do to redouble efforts will be appreciated.
Yeah, that intersection is within the PSAP limits. We're waiting to get the final crash report to determine exactly what happened in that.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll use that information for sure to see if there's any kind of tweaks that we can make, even if it's an operational change.
So thanks, Will, and thanks, Vic, and any other local representatives who are participating, because I think it really is helpful for you to bring that insight in terms of operations and dynamics of the community at the local level. So it's really helpful to have you as part of the conversation. So
thanks.
To be with us, really appreciate it.
I'm sorry, PSAP.
Oh, Pedestrian Safety Action Plan.
Thanks.
I'll shoot up a flare as well, and just, give a little bit of advance warning for some work that SHA has been doing in earnest for a couple months, if not almost a whole year now, trying to update access management and traffic impact study requirements for the state. If we think upstream here, a lot of what we're chasing in certain circumstances, not all, of course, as we know, some of this is behavior related that you can't control, or we don't have adequate data to chase down how to fix it. But oftentimes what we're dealing with sometimes is a mismatch of a roadway facility and a development or a land use decision that don't jive. And so we need to be thinking, how do we jive better with our local partners when it comes to our APFO and our access management and traffic impact studies? We do not have a statewide standard. We do not have a statewide expectation. We have many counties that do not have any expectations. And that creates a challenge for us if we're thinking about granting access. What are the mitigations? So we can be thinking early before that development happens, where those people are living, and demanding a change, because at the end of the day, then it's incumbent on us and Cedric and his team to retrofit. And ideally, we're working upstream and fixing it before the problem even presents itself. So SHA has been meeting with MBIA and other industry interested parties for a while now, trying to work through adjustments. But at the end of the day, if we know this is a problem, I would encourage us all to start looking upstream as well, and then calling upon our friends in the county to join with us and try to tackle this, because at the end of the day, it's a partnership that we need to be working on together.
No, we obviously are very committed, share our concerns, look forward to working. We've already had a great partnership, so we just look forward to continuing that.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Any other comment? All right, we're adjourned until October 16th or 17th. 15th October.
Right there.
On the bottom. Oh, I should read the agenda.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Have a wonderful day and be safe.
I knew I put upcoming topics somewhere.
Got it all covered.
Thanks, everyone.